Part 118. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 1171. Chapter 1171. I was so drunk that I turned into a braised pig's head. It's true that I like to write novels, but I always write in my spare time. If I suddenly do nothing and write full time, I'm afraid I won't be able to adapt to such a life. Yeziaksun held his head, picked up his mobile phone, looked through the messages from readers in the comment area, and occasionally picked a few to reply to. I always feel that I should find something else to do. Tanguo blinked. I really envy people like you who have such a successful side job, tisk. It's okay, it's okay. Yeziaksun was suddenly praised like this and scratched the back of his head in embarrassment. Yeziaksun is a person who has been accustomed to feeling inferior since he was a child. In other words, he feels inferior to the core. Even though she is now a famous female writer all over the internet, Yeziaksun still feels that she is nothing great. Apart from reading and writing books, she seemed to know nothing. I have no talent whatsoever, and for some reason, I feel inferior to others. Even though, she herself is envied by so many people. But she is selectively blind and can only see her own shortcomings. Such a person has such a tiring life. Yeziaksun feels the same way himself. Everybody, I'm back. At this time, the door suddenly opened, and Muniankai jumped back to the dormitory with her guitar on her back. Tanguo and Yeziaksun were greatly frightened by her, and then they all turned to the ground and paid attention to her. You are finally back. Tanguo raised his hands and cheered. I thought you coveted the beauty of your foreign music teacher and refused to come back. Muniankai has been gone for more than a week. During this period, I often shared various candid photos of a handsome German music teacher in my circle of friends. Every time I post it, there are a bunch of likes and comments praising it. Of course, there is also a strange outlier in the mix. How handsome are you? Come back to see your husband, I am even more handsome. Hanzaja's jealousy has infected the entire circle of friends. Hey, I want to, but he's on a business trip, otherwise I'd have to stay a few more days. Muniankai put down the guitar, sat down on the chair, opened the bottle cap and started filling the bottle with water. After drinking, she proudly wiped her mouth with her sleeve, turned her head and glanced. Hey, where is Xia Ying? Go to the company. Yeziaksun answered. What a good and conscientious boss. Muniankai ran to the bathroom and changed into home clothes, then climbed into bed, lay down and started browsing Weibo. Without even swiping twice, I came across a Weibo post from a boy on the football team. The photo showed a blurry group of boys in crazy postures with their teeth and claws open. Hanzaja sat in the middle with a piercing mouth, his face turned red like a monkey's butt. Muniankai zoomed in on Hanzaja and carefully examined his body for any traces of girls. After confirming that it was correct, Muniankai curled her lips, liked and commented, someone is so drunk that he becomes a braised pig's head at it's your Uncle Han. Not long after, the blogger discovered Muniankai's comment, and then drunkenly held up the phone and handed it to Sujin Si. Captain, the captain's wife said you are a braised pig head. Sujin Si lowered his eyes, silently pushed the man's hand, and pushed the phone in front of Hanzaja. Hanzaja's eyes were blurry, and the words in front of him were spinning like propellers, and he couldn't see clearly. Hey, look, this word can actually dance. A group of paparazzi heard the sound and came over. Really, it's so interesting. Captain, why do you have 8 fingers? This word makes me dizzy. Sujin Si. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 1172. Chapter 1172. I won't go to China this year. Sujin Si broke away from a group of drunkards, walked to the side, and called his family members one by one. Singles have no choice but to be escorted by him. Muni Ankai received a call from Sujin-si. Hey, Sujin-si, what's going on? Yeziok-sun, who was typing words, trembled when he heard Sujin-si's name and accidentally pressed the wrong key. Then he raised his ears, and even though he couldn't hear anything, he still listened hard. I know the virtues of braised pig head. Okay, I understand. I'll be there right away. Thank you. Muni Ankai hung up the phone, and then got off the bed. Yeziok-sun leaned out half of his body and stared at Muni Ankai with his big eyes blinking. Muni Ankai, where are you going? Go and pick up my braised pig head. Muni Ankai's tone was stiff and out of breath. Yeziok-sun hurriedly got up from the bed. I'll go with you. Let's go together, I'm afraid I can't drag it alone. Muni Ankai didn't think much, and prepared to go out with Yeziok-sun. Tanguo turned sideways and stared at the two of them, his eyes sparkling. You are all gone, am I the only one at home? Don't worry, little candy, we'll be back soon. Yeziok-sun said with relief. Okay, then come back early. Tanguo said and sat back upright on the bed. Muni Ankai and Yeziok-sun went out. Tanguo was lying on the bed bored, and now there was no one to talk to her. It's so boring. Tanguo scrolled through WeChat, trying to find someone with whom she could have a few words to chat. As a result, she found no suitable candidate. Tanguo stared at Chu Shenming's WeChat avatar for a long time, but never got up the courage to send a message. Tanguo finally found Chu Shenxiu and sent a message. Chu Shenxiu, what are you doing, when is the time to return to China? Approximately 10 minutes later, Chu Shenxiu replied, I won't go to China this year, I have something to do /lovely/. Tanguo looked at the string of words written by Chu Shenxiu and hesitated for a while. He really didn't want to come back. Not long after, Tanguo saw an update in Chu Shenxiu's circle of friends. It was a silhouette of a girl wearing an exquisite and gorgeous evening dress. The girl has a graceful figure and beautiful appearance. Even a profile of her face can make people think about her and make them yearn for her. Looking at the background decorations, they were all extraordinary, and there were several girls in maid costumes next to them. Tanguo guessed that the protagonist in the photo was probably the legendary little princess of S country, Chu Shenxiu's fiancée. Since Chu Shenxiu shared the photo of the little princess in his circle of friends, it means that something good is coming for the two of them. They are probably getting engaged. Country S is the homeland of Chu Shenxiu and Chu Shenming. The reason why Chu Shenming came to China in the first place was because he was worried about the mischievous Chu Shenxiu. Now Chu Shenxiu has a fiancée, and the two of them seem to be in a good relationship. The old boy has grown into a handsome young man. Chu Shenming no longer has to worry too much about Chu Shenxiu, and can focus more on his research. After all, he is a genius scientist with the national treasure level of S country. After all, I want to stay in country S and do things for the country. Tanguo took a breath, and the expression on his face made it difficult to tell what emotion he was feeling. Tanguo lowered his head and commented in Chu Shenxiu's circle of friends, 99. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuen Suya. Chapter 1173. Chapter 1173 Boyfriend and Girlfriend. When Muni Ankai and Yeziok-sun arrived, Sujin-si was strewn with corpses. Sujin-si was sweating profusely as he arranged for those people to be put in place. Some were drunk and crazy, some were fast asleep, and some even took Sujin-si as the lover of his dreams and wanted to kiss her. And Hanzaja slept like a dead pig, with the word big lying in the middle. When Muni Ankai passed by, she really wanted to step on his face. Why dash? Seeing that Sujin-si was about to be molested by the 160-pound fat man as his dream lover, Yeseoksun rushed over and blocked Sujin-si with an empty beer bottle. This stopped the fat man from Sujin-si. Say no to the urge to rectify the fa on the spot. Sujin-si, who was thin-skinned, had already blushed deeply. When he lowered his eyes and saw Yeseoksun, he felt a little embarrassed. He nodded slightly and said thank you. Yeseoksun pursed her lips and suppressed the small excitement in her heart. You're welcome. Yeseoksun glanced around. Why are they all so drunk? Sujin-si scratched his head. The captain hasn't gotten together with us much since he graduated, so everyone drank too much when they were happy. Yeseoksun rolled his eyes and looked at Sujin-si with a smile. Then why are you not drunk? Sujin-si was stunned by Yeseoksun's question and smiled sheepishly. I don't drink well, so I usually don't drink much when I go out. Muniankai was still desperately trying to lift Hanzaja up, but because he couldn't hold it up anymore, he fell to the ground. He lifted it up, fell it down again, lifted it up again, fell it down again, Muniankai said angrily. Swear words, this guy drank several bottles of wine. Why is he as heavy as a dead pig? Muniankai raised her eyes, ready to ask for help from Yeseoksun and Sujin-si, who knew that the two of them were chatting very congenially and completely regarded her as nothing. Hanzaja was about to fall apart, but they were still chatting and laughing. Woolen cloth. Muniankai shook her head helplessly, staring at Yeseoksun, who was about to laugh out loud with a look that had seen through the world, knowing that this person usually only stayed in front of the computer and typed non-stop whenever he had time. Yeseoksun must have done nothing good by following him out. No, the drunkard's intention is not to drink. It sounds nice to be helping her, but in fact it's not just to meet Sujin-si. Alas, we started to favor over friends even before we got together, and it will happen again in the future. Hey. Let me ask you too, have you chatted well? If not, go and open a private room and have a chat. If you have chatted well, come over and help me. This Hanzaja is so heavy. I'm so exhausted. After hearing this, Sujin-si reacted immediately, walked towards Muniankai, carried Hanzaja on his back, and said to Muniankai sideways, Madam Captain, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it just now. Muniankai raised the corners of her mouth, showing an I understand evil smile, and then looked back at Yeseoksun. Yeseoksun was startled by Muniankai's eyes, and silently pressed her lips together without saying a word. Well, I understand in the beginning, you're captain, and I came here the same way. Sujin-si's ears gradually turned red and he defended, No, Madam Captain, you are overthinking. Yeseoksun and I are friends. Muniankai chuckled, I know, boyfriend and girlfriend. Sujin-si. Yeseoksun blushed and quickly stopped Muniankai's teasing. Muniankai, stop joking. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuen Suya. Chapter 1174. Chapter 1174. Sujin-si wants to invite me to watch a movie. Okay, I won't make fun of you. Muniankai shook her head helplessly. Sujin-si was originally a board gourd, and Yeseoksun was also a board gourd. It was really not easy for these two board gourds to fall in love. She didn't know when she would be able to achieve success, and Muniankai said that even an outsider like her was worried about them. Muniankai sent Hanzaja back. Yeseoksun stayed and accompanied Sujin-si to deal with the remaining people one by one and sent them home one by one. It was already very late when everything was done. Sujin-si said to send Yeseoksun back to the dormitory. Yeseoksun was secretly happy and agreed. Under the street lamp, two beautiful figures, a man and a woman, were stretched very long. Yeseoksun felt a little unbearably nervous and kept tugging at the corners of his clothes at a loss. There was nothing wrong with Sujin's words, but in fact, he was just as nervous as Yeseoksun. It's just that he is a boy and can't show it easily. Well, Yeziaksun, I heard that you like watching movies very much. After being silent for a while, Sujin-si broke the silence. Yeziaksun nodded, yes, I like it very much. Sujin-si felt happy, I also like watching movies. Do you like science fiction movies? When Sujin-si asked this question, he felt inexplicably lacking in confidence. Because when my good friend heard that he was going to invite the girl he liked to watch a movie, he was still thinking that Sujin-si, an old piece of wood, had finally come to his senses, and the dead wood was blooming again. But when he knew that Sujin-si was buying science fiction when I bought the tickets for the movie, my good friend immediately rolled his eyes. How can anyone take a girl to see a science fiction movie? Sujin-si was confused, what's wrong with science fiction movies? How atmospheric. He is a die-hard science fiction fan. As long as there is a good science fiction film in the cinema, he will definitely be the kind of person who grabs the premiere. Which girl would like to watch science fiction movies? 100 million years before history? Jurassic Park? The Principle of Black Holes? What are these? Girls like romance movies, even if they are not good at literary and artistic movies, they are better, but horror movies are better. When the little girl is scared, she will crawl into your arms. When the time comes, she will hold her little hand and give you a hug, and then she will take the opportunity to express her love. Sujin-si blushed and turned around to leave. How could he have such a wretched friend? Like it? Yeziaksun was so excited that he unconsciously raised the volume. He was secretly happy, and the barrage in his mind was looping, Sujin-si wants to invite me to watch a movie. Sujin-si smiled, really? I thought you girls wouldn't like science fiction movies. Yeziaksun smiled. Most girls don't like it, but I particularly like it. Maybe I'm a different kind of person. Yeziaksun scratched his head. Sujin-si snorted and laughed, okay, do you have time on the weekend? Let's go see a movie together. What are you watching? Is it The Origin of Particles that will be released recently? Sujin-si's eyes lit up. It seemed that Yeziaksun really liked science fiction movies. He actually knew that The Origin of Particles he had been looking forward to was about to be released. Yes, but let's watch this next time. I happen to have 2 movie tickets in my hand and I can't find anyone to go with me. I can go with you. Yeziaksun was a little excited. That's great. Sujin-si smiled. What kind of movie is it? Yeziaksun blinked and stared at Sujin-si with curious eyes. The Amityville Horror. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuen Suya. Chapter 1175. Chapter 1175. The more deliberate you are, the harder it is to do it. When Xia Ying returned to the dormitory, Tanguo was the only one in the dormitory. How about them? Xia Ying asked. Tanguo poked her little head out from under the quilt and responded dully, we're out. Hanzija is drunk. Mu Niankai went to pick him up, and Xiaoxun went with him. Xia Ying saw that Tanguo's face was not pretty and her voice was weak, so she walked closer, stared at Tanguo for a while, frowned and asked, Little Candy, what's wrong with you? You don't feel well. Tanguo got out of the quilt and sat on the bed, with a drooped face and a sad tone. Xia Ying, can you see that I'm in a bad mood? Xia Ying laughed and sat down beside Tanguo's bed. It's written all over your face. Tanguo pursed her lips, raised her head, looked into Xia Ying's bright eyes, and sighed. Then he stretched out his hand and hugged Xia Ying. Xia Ying was stunned for a moment, then reached out and touched Tanguo's head. What's wrong, little Candy? What's bothering you? Tanguo buried her face in Xia Ying's arm and responded weakly, I just feel that I envy you. Envy, what are you envious of? Now Xiaoxun also has someone he likes, but I am the only one who is still walking in the same place. stupidly, and can't forget that person. Xia Ying suddenly realized, why did Tang Guo'er, who had always been optimistic, suddenly become depressed today? It took me a long time, but it was because of Chu Shengming. It's not that easy to forget someone. What's more, you've been in love with my 12th cousin for so many years. Xia Ying then thought about it, right? Wait a minute, you're going to let go of my 12th cousin. What else can I do if I don't let go? Tang Guo'er said with a sad face, I have worked hard for so many years. If there were any results, I would have had some clues. But I always keep walking in the same place. Chu Shengming, a little bit he doesn't like me either. And now, he is still in country S and will not come back. Ahem, Xia Ying sighed, as you mentioned, they were supposed to come back, but something happened. Country S has a very important drug research project, which was assigned to the 12th cousin. It is estimated that he will not be able to come back in the past 2 years. As for the big turtle dove, I don't know which nerve is wrong. He was so stubborn that he refused to meet the little princess before leaving. Who knew that he would be ready for more than half a year after leaving? Get engaged first, stabilize your wife, and then come back. I don't know how the little princess conquered my unattractive 13th cousin, but as long as they are happy, it will be fine. Tang Guo'er curled up her knees and hugged her legs, silently listening to Xia Ying's story. Little Candy, what if my 12th cousin's project is completed and he comes back to China, or if you meet one day and you find that you still can't forget him, what should you do? I don't know, I also want to try my best to forget it, but sometimes the more deliberately I try, the harder it is to do it. Tang Guo'er said in a low voice. This sentence is true. Xia Ying continued, actually, no matter what others think, at least in my opinion, cousin 12 is very good to you. You have to know that he is cold by nature and doesn't like to deal with others, and his feelings are the most, it's unpredictable. Compared to others, he really cares about you. Tang Guo'er heard Xia Ying say this and raised her head to look at her. Maybe, he just wants to make up for me a little bit. It's sympathy, not liking. If you like her, why do you have to leave her for so many years without leaving any news to her? End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 1176. Chapter 1176 Pink Blue Bow Love Letter. Xia Ying chuckled and said, sympathy. If you want to say that others are okay, people like my 12th cousin who are not rich in emotions will not be so sympathetic. Tang Guo'er raised her watery eyes and stared at Xia Ying. Xia Ying had a bright smile and sincere eyes, and it didn't look like she was teasing her. But Tang Guo'er still felt unsure. Chu Shengming always gave her a feeling of being far away. Sometimes she thought she was getting closer to him, but in the next second, he quickly left again. Sometimes, she thought they were so far away, but Chu Shengming would suddenly appear again, giving her a vague hope. It seems that if you work hard, you can achieve hope. Tang Guo'er buried her head on her knees, thinking about something with a sullen face. Xia Ying stroked Tang Guo'er's head again and again, comforting, little Candy, stop thinking so much and live your life well. Maybe things will turn around when the time is right. Tang Guo'er nodded. Xia Ying was just about to leave when she suddenly glanced sideways and caught a glimpse of a pink blue love letter-like card with a bow that Tang Guo'er placed on the table. Xia Ying's eyes lit up, she leaned over, picked it up and looked at it. Tang Guo'er saw it and immediately stretched out her hand to stop it, but Xia Ying had already quickly moved it aside to look at it. Hey, little Candy, so this love letter is written to you. Xia Ying looked at Tang Guo'er with a smile and joked. Tang Guo'er was stunned for a moment. What do you mean? Do you know anything? Have you been hanging out in the library too much lately and turned your back on what's going on outside the window? Xia Ying shook her head helplessly, pointed to the handsome signature at the bottom of the love letter and said to Tanguo Wang Yan, that famous figure in the graduate school. He is good looking, has a warm smile, and is a top student. Tanguo lowered her eyes, pursed her lips, and muttered silently, "Why do you all say this?" A few days ago, Wang Yan found a pink-blue love letter from a girl in his drawer. Wang Yan's good friend thought it was given to him by someone else, thinking that he would actually keep the girl's love letter, but when he saw it, the content was actually written by Wang Yan to someone else. This matter caused quite a stir at the time. The graduate students were all worried about which girl they thought their Prince Charming belonged to. He smiled and said, "We also asked our straight man Wang Yan to express his love in a love letter with girly elements such as pink, blue and bow ties." Tanguo's head lowered and her face turned red. "It's quite right to think about it this way, little Candy, you like pink blue the most, not to mention bow ties, they are a daily necessity. Thinking about it this way, Wang Yan is quite thoughtful." Tanguo raised her head and looked at Xia Ying with a flushed face. "Xia Ying, please stop talking. Do you want me to persist, or do you want me to give up?" Just now, she was talking about a turning point. Why now, she seems to be trying to bring her and Wang Yan together. Xia Ying's face changed suddenly. She put down the love letter and said seriously, "Persevere, you believe me?" Tanguo shrugged helplessly and asked tentatively, "What about Wang Yan?" Xia Ying burst into laughter suddenly. "I really didn't expect Wang Yan to be so sullen at heart, ha ha ha." The words and sentences in the love letter are so pretentious that they give you goosebumps all over your body. An engineering student forced rhymes and gorgeous words, and the final result was really eye-catching. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 1177. Chapter 1177. Determined to follow Yu Lingfeng. Tanguo stuck out her tongue silently and whispered, "Actually, I also think it's hypocritical. Xia Ying has been a little afraid of going to the company lately. Every time she goes, Qianyins grabs her arm and asks her where 11 Ju has gone. Do you want him anymore? Do you want to break up with him if there is another gentle and good-looking brother out there who buys him figures?" In short, the tone was that of a resentful woman, no, an abandoned woman, staring at Xia Ying with tears in her eyes. Xia Ying resisted the urge to swat him to death with an electric mosquito swatter. "If I were 11 Ju, I would avoid you too, lest I be annoyed to death by you one day." "What, even you are like this?" Qianyins complained. Then he thought about it and felt something was wrong. He looked at Xia Ying with wide eyes. "What are you talking about? 11 Ju is avoiding me? Why is he avoiding me?" Xia Ying's eyes widened, she was stunned, and quickly calmed her expression. "What, I was just talking casually, why are you so excited?" "No, you must know something." Qianyins was very determined and grabbed Xia Ying's arm to prevent her from leaving. He kept saying over and over again, "I knew this matter was not that simple. 11 Ju is a good person and would not ignore me. Did something happen to him? So he deliberately avoided me and alienated me, trying to get me to give up on him." Xia Ying held her forehead helplessly. Why is Qianyins, who usually has a very low IQ and EQ, suddenly reaching a peak of IQ? This reasoning ability is really scary. Xia Ying used her acting skills to stare directly at Qianyins, and then quietly showed her disgust. "You have such a strong imagination, why didn't you write a script?" Qianyins frowned and his pupils dilated. "Am I wrong? I'm too lazy to talk to you, you big-headed devil." Xia Ying said, broke away from Qianyins and left with a cold face. Qianyins was stunned on the spot, looking at Xia Ying's leaving figure in a daze. If this is not the case, then what is it? Is it that difficult to give him a clear explanation? Xia Ying returned to the office, closed the door, leaned against it, and breathed a long sigh of relief, with a thin layer of sweat on her palms. It was so dangerous, but fortunately she didn't reveal her secret just now. Otherwise, 11 Jews' hard work during this period will be in vain. Xia Ying called Yu Lingfeng, and Yu Lingfeng quickly answered, "I'm already on the way, I'll be here soon." Yu Lingfeng thought it was Xia Ying urging him, so he answered naturally. Yu Lingfeng would go to the company to pick up Xia Ying most of the time. "Yu Lingfeng, just now Qianyins asked me about 11 Ju again." Yu Lingfeng's eyes darkened a bit. "Just ignore him. I almost let something slip just now. You know Qianyins, he is very pestering. I'm really afraid that one day I might really let something slip." "You want to tell 11 Ju to stop avoiding him?" Yu Lingfeng quickly understood the meaning of Xia Ying's words. Xia Ying pursed her lips. "Yeah, in fact, sometimes, I can't bear to see Qianyin's devastated look." The truth was clearly on her lips, but she couldn't say anything. Zhu himself has never gone through this hurdle. Yu Lingfeng sighed, "Let me talk to him." Yu Lingfeng will return to her home planet in a while. When exactly it will be is still unknown. Yu Lingfeng said that we have to wait until the right time. 11 Ju has always been loyal to Yu Lingfeng, and Yu Lingfeng is unwilling to take him there, but 11 Ju is determined to go with Yu Lingfeng. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 1178. Chapter 1178. I will pay you back slowly throughout my life. No matter what Yu Lingfeng said or did, he just refused to stay. Even the system that Yu Lingfeng finally built for him was almost the same as that of humans, but he abandoned it and replaced it with the previous machine system. Only when he becomes a real robot can he stand beside Yu Lingfeng and fight alongside him. His life was given by Yu Lingfeng. Yu Lingfeng wanted to return to his home planet to fight, so naturally he couldn't just sit back and watch. As for Qianyins, it's just that he failed him. "Yu Lingfeng, if one day you inherit the throne, what will I do?" When Xia Ying said this, her eyes lowered and her face showed sadness. Yu Lingfeng said that he is His Royal Highness the Crown Prince, so one day, he must inherit the position of king. By that time, he must not have been able to shuttle back and forth so freely. Yu Lingfeng's face darkened and he asked Xia Ying seriously, "Are you willing to come with me?" This is something he has always wanted to ask. He wanted to take her away, but as a human being, Xia Ying's feelings were too complicated. Family and friendship, these are things that humans cannot part with. Although Yu Lingfeng couldn't empathize with it, he could understand it. It is really not cost-effective to abandon a group of people for one person. There was silence on the other end of the phone. Yu Lingfeng only heard Xia Ying's long breathing. Before Xia Ying finished speaking, the other end of the phone hung up. Xia Ying put down her phone, lowered her hand, and looked at the flowing clouds outside the window with melancholy. Not long after, there was a knock on the door. Xia Ying opened the door, and before she could see Yu Lingfeng's face clearly, she was embraced into a generous and warm embrace. Yu Lingfeng held Xia Ying tightly in his arms, as if he wanted to melt Xia Ying into his own flesh and blood. "Yu Lingfeng, it hurts." The little man in his arms struggled, his tone a bit irritating and coquettish. Yu Lingfeng's heart suddenly melted when he heard this, and he slowly let go of Xia Ying. Yu Lingfeng lowered his deep eyes and stared at Xia Ying's face. Every outline, every tiny texture, he wants to be deeply imprinted in the depths of his mind. "Because I'm afraid that one day I won't be able to see it anymore." Xia Ying raised her head, her eyes as clear as water met Yu Lingfeng's hot gaze. Xia Ying stretched out her hand, held Yu Lingfeng's chiseled face, and said word by word with great seriousness, "Yu Lingfeng, I am willing." Yu Lingfeng's pupils suddenly dilated, and there was a flash of surprise. "Really?" Xia Ying nodded heavily, her eyes always facing Yu Lingfeng. if it weren't for you, I would have been ruined, abandoned by others, and died young. Everything I have now, including the people I care about, their peace and happiness are all given by you. I have paid back what I owe them, but I will pay back what I owe you slowly throughout my life. Yu Lingfeng's lips gradually turned up, and she leaned forward and kissed Xia Ying. Xia Ying put her arms around Yu Lingfeng's neck and responded to Yu Lingfeng's kiss. The two of them were so absorbed in the kiss that they completely forgot that they were at the door of the office and the door was not closed. All the staff who passed by stopped and looked at them both with aunt and uncle smiles on their faces. At this time, Liang Ye came over to find Xia Ying. He was about to show Xia Ying the new song he had just written, and happened to bump into this scene. The melon-eating crowd nearby were watching the excitement and did not notice Liang Ye approaching. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 1179. Chapter 1179, 10,000 points of damage have been achieved today. Sister Wan pulled Liang Ye aside and looked at Liang Ye with a look like a child is ignorant and said, "What are you doing? Didn't you see that this young couple is having a sweet time?" Liang Ye frowned deeply, looked at the cheerful crowd around him, and said silently, "The boss will tell you if he finds out." Qianyins walked out dejectedly and found a group of people blocked in front of him. I thought something had happened, so I quickly squeezed over to take a look, but as soon as I took a look, my eyes hurt. Let a sad person like him see such a scene. It's absolutely crazy. Qianyins beat his chest and stamped his feet. Today 10,000 points of damage have been achieved. Jun Chennai was discharged from the hospital. The Jun family came over to visit him and gave him a few words of advice. "Chen Yi, you still have a long way to go, don't ruin your future just for the sake of the temporary glory in front of you." Jun Sanbo looked at Jun Chennai up and down with a strange look on his face. "When I'm not sick, I look in high spirits and like I'm fine. Once you fall ill, it will be serious." Jun Chennai was very proud of himself in the past, not to mention the entertainment industry. He has always been a leader. After all, the national male has an overwhelming advantage. He is promoted by everyone with one vote, which is the so-called public opinion. In the workplace, Jun Chennai is also one of the few business wizards in recent years. It seems that no matter what he puts his hands on, it will be different from others, and he will be able to become the best in the industry. However, everyone only knew that Jun Chennai had a good head and was a rare talent. But he didn't know that behind his back, he had been working hard, how much effort he had put in, and how long he had been dormant. He knew that one day he would inherit the Jun family, so he began to understand the changes in the business world from an early age. What he has given is countless times more than what others know and see. "Thank you, third uncle, for your concern. I know it myself." Jun Chennai could not see any emotion on his face. He is already very good at hiding his emotions and knows when to use what expression and what attitude. He has grown too fast in the past few years. Thinking back on it, I find it a bit unbelievable. Ah! At this time, a cold snort came from the crowd. Jun Chennai looked at it calmly, and it turned out to be Jun Xianyan. Jun Xianyan looked at Jun Chennai with dissatisfaction. "Third uncle, you are really worrying too much. I haven't even been discharged from the hospital yet, and you're already rushing to grab business." Jun Chennai knew what Jun Xianyan was talking about. A good friend of Jun Xianyan had been optimistic about a business some time ago, but at the last minute, he was told that he had signed a contract with Jun Chennai Fang. Jun Xianyan found out and mocked, "A mentally ill person can steal your duck while lying in the hospital. You are really a disgrace." Although it sounds ugly, it is the fact. It is precisely because Jun Chennai is so active and capable that Jun Xianyan has always been on guard. I thought that his hospitalization this time would help him restrain himself a little bit, but who knows, he still clings to the position of heir. He was really happy to do things that he had to fight for but not enjoy. Business is never snatched in the workplace, it is always those with ability who win, brother, you should know this better than me. Jun Chennai's expression was calm, but it made Jun Xianyan's teeth itch. Is he mocking his incompetence? He, Jun Chennai, let me see how long you can last. Jun Xianyan twitched the corner of his mouth, looked away coldly, and stopped talking to Jun Chennai. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuen Suya. Chapter 1180. Chapter 1180. Why did you lie to me? Jun Chennai sat in the car on his way back, staring at the busy traffic outside, looking worried. At this moment, Jun Chennai's cell phone rang. He picked it up and saw that it was Rong Si's call. Jun Chennai took a deep breath and pressed the answer button. You still know to give me a call. Jun Chennai rolled his eyes and spoke coldly. During this period, he has been trying to contact Rong Si, but there is no news from him. The news that he was ill and hospitalized spread throughout several countries, and Rong Si should have known about it no matter what he said. I thought he would come over to see him, but in the end, he seemed to have disappeared from the world, and there was no news about him. Jun Chennai has been worried about him, afraid that something will happen to him. After all, ever since Fanyan left him, he had been completely distracted. Jun Chennai was afraid that one day he would lose his mind and do something stupid. I took on a mission some time ago and got injured. Rong Si said in a calm tone, are you okay? Jun Chennai frowned, take the mission, injured. Jun Chennai stayed in the hospital for so long in order to hide his identity from others, and now that he has come out, he still hasn't recovered yet. Of course, according to Rong Si's temperament, as long as he can move around, he will definitely come. It can be seen that there is a truth hidden behind the casual sentence he just said about hurt. However, what Jun Chennai cares more about is the sentence about accepting the task. He now has time to take on tasks. It seems that he has gradually let go and thought about it, and his life is slowly getting back on track. Nothing. Rong Si slipped his words for a moment and quickly looked at him carelessly. Rong Si, where are you? Jun Chennai asked in a deep voice. You don't have to worry about me. I'll go back after a while. Take care of yourself. If anything happens to the Jun family, please contact me at any time. Rong Si finished speaking quickly and hung up the phone. Allow. Jun Chennai wanted to say something else, but the other end of the phone hung up. That's weird, what on earth is he doing? Jun Chennai muttered, thinking about something. As soon as Rong Si hung up the phone, there was a knock on the door. Please come in. Rong Si sat on the bed, looking in the direction of the door with bright eyes. The door was opened, and a slender and graceful woman came in. Lan 11 had a faint smile on her lips, and her eyes were as warm as the sun's rays as she looked at Rong Si. Rong Si frowned, then quickly relaxed his brows, and looked at the girl in front of him carefully. Blue Whale's words should still ring in my ears. Lan 11 is a descendant of the Blue Demon Fairy. She arrived in time and saved the group of people. Rong Si, are you feeling better? Lan 11 held a medicine box in his hand, walked to Rong Si's bed, put the medicine box on the bedside table, opened the medicine box, and Rong Si saw many strange things inside. Weird herbs and pills of all kinds. Let me give you some medicine. Lan 11 raised her head, a few thin bangs hanging down in front of her forehead, still stained with beads of sweat. Who are you? Rong Si asked sternly, staring directly at her medicine box with sinister eyes. The smile on Lan 11's face froze for a moment, then quickly recovered. What's wrong with you? Wrong C. I met Lan 11's gaze and said, "Why did you lie to me? You are from the Blue Demon Fairy. You are not the unfavored daughter of the Lan family at all. What is your purpose of getting close to me?" Wrong C's series of questions made Lan 11 feel confused and panicked for a moment. "I don't know what you are talking about, Wrong C. I am indeed from the Lan family. As for what you said, I deliberately approached you, and the Blue Enchantress and the like are not what you think at all." End of this chapter.